What's going on, everyone? Gilman with Wellthy Stocks back with our daily Palantir update video, ticker symbol PLTR, where we take a look at how Palantir stock traded today, key levels of support and resistance that we are looking at moving into the future, and based on that, what we think Palantir stock could do. So real quick, if you enjoy videos like this, don't forget to hit that like button down below, subscribe to my channel if you are new, and comment down below what your thoughts on Palantir are. And I'd love to chat with you guys down there. So let me hit record. We'll get right into it. Real quick, wanted to cover two things. First things first, if you like what I'm using here, I'm using Webull. If you want to sign up, link will be in the description below and you can sign up and get some free shares. The other thing I wanted to cover is I've noticed the return of the fake Wellthy stocks. So if you see any comments around, giving you a number and asking you to WhatsApp it, or, investing in Bitcoin or reaching out to someone for financial advice, just know it's not me. It looks like my name on the channel, but my name will be a different color whenever I comment. And you can always just click on it and it'll take you to the page with no subscribers and no videos probably. So I apologize. There's nothing I could do. I try to delete them as fast as possible, but just wanted to, make sure no one gets kind of caught up in that. So now let's get right into it. So first things first, Palantir was down on the day about 89 cents. We are pushing up in the after hours and I'm trying to find out why. I believe Cathie Woods just had an interview with Benzinga where she talked about, kind of her investments, her bullishness on Bitcoin, Tesla, and then also Palantir. So that's my assumption of why it's going up. It could also be that she added more shares, and I'll find out here in a couple hours. So nice thing is it's pushing up and we'll soon know why. Let's take a look at a couple things that I want to talk about, right? And this is one of them, and then we'll get right into the analysis part of it. So first things first, Palantir bought 3 million shares, 3.3 million shares a couple days ago. That's something we covered already. Don't want to focus too much on that, but just wanted to remind you guys, right, that they are pretty bullish. The other thing I want to talk about, and this is something that I've talked about for a while, and now there's finally an article on it, so I'm happy to share it with you guys. But, if you want to type this in and read the whole thing yourself, feel free to. But with the lockup expiration, we've seen a sell-off happen, which is totally normal because a lot of shares are now available to be sold, and a lot of insiders are taking advantage of that and selling their shares. What I want to talk about, though, is even though they're selling a ton, or it seems like they're selling a ton, and it's putting a selling pressure on the stock, they still hold a whole lot more than they're selling, right? That's what I want to talk about. And the reason that this is good is because, look, if you're someone that works in the company and you're selling your shares and you don't want to own those shares, that tells me you don't believe in the future of the company. But if you want to hold on to a lot of your shares and you're only selling, look, everyone wants to sell a little bit to kind of reap in some of the benefits of the work that they're doing. That's totally normal. What we don't want to see is you selling everything and then, not believing in the company. So what we see here is a breakdown. So the general public owns about 60% of the shares. Institutions own about 23. Public companies own about 6.2, and that leaves the individual insiders with 10.2%. So about a tenth of the company is owned by individual insiders, the most of which is owned by Peter Thiel, who is the company's top key executive. So they own the most amount of shares. The second largest shareholder owns about 6.2% of the shares outstanding, and then ownership of 2.7 by the third. So CEO owns 1.3% of the shares, right? So that's what we're talking about. And this article talks about, hey, a lot of this selling is happening, but these individuals are also holding on to a bunch of their shares, which is definitely good for us to look at when we, look at whether they believe in the company or not. I pointed this out, a couple days ago as well, but I wanted to revisit it since I think it's something that a lot of people have been, taking a look at with the sell-off that's been happening is, hey, insiders are selling shares. Is that bad news? Well, it could be, but in our case here, it doesn't have to be. They're just locking in some of those profits and keeping a whole lot further ride up, hopefully, right? So let's now get right into the analysis part of it. All right, so we've got the one-day chart here, and what we see is not a great overall day for Palantir. As we can see, we're going up in the after hours, which is always great to see. Yesterday, we ended the day in the 24s. We started to push up. If you take a look here, got perfectly rejected at the 25.39 level, which is where our line is, by the way. And then right at open, right, we fell, we broke below the 24 level, came briefly above, messed around with the VWAP, couldn't quite hold it. Got another bounce here off of the 2408 level, try to push up, got rejected by VWAP, failed, try to come up, failed, fell below our 2362 by about 20 cents or so, pushed up, and then sold off into the close, was struggling to come above that, and then we got some piece of news here that really pushed us up. We're up 5.5%, so that actually puts us at green for the day, which is crazy to see because the market was looking pretty bloody today. Nasdaq was down 2.7%, Dow Jones was down 120 points, which is 0.38%, and then the S&P 500 was down 1.32% as well. So compared to all that, right, Palantir is now looking great in the after hours. No news here, no recent news just yet, so maybe it is either more buying by Kathy Ark, or maybe with that interview with Benzinga, she said something that she did talk positively about a couple of companies, so maybe it has to do with that. Now let's take a look at Palantir, and we'll try to see if we can get an indication of where it could be headed. So over here we had the bull pennant that we spotted. If you've been with me for a while, that broke out, we went all the way to the 30s. Next couple of days we went to the 40s, we sold off, ran into earnings surprise loss, as we talked about, a little bit of guidance that they gave people didn't like, and then we saw the sell-off happening here due to both the market selling off as well as the lockup expiration that happened. And here we are today, not looking too great, but again in the after hours we are looking nice, right? So that's what we have coming up so far, you guys. And not a bad day if we count the after hours, but the key thing here is we closed below the 89 exponential moving average for the first time. If you take a look here, even though we dropped below that level, we hadn't closed below it. This was the first time that we technically closed below it. Now we are again up in the after hours, so I'm not as worried about it just now. So first things first, we are kind of in between these two levels. So what am I looking at moving into the future? First level of support is the same 2408 that we saw a bounce coming from today, and then the 2359 that we were right at close. Those are my two levels of support. If we break that, we've got run room down all the way to the 2248. The reason that's a really crucial level for us is if we go back here to the sell-off that happened late December, early January, 2250 is a level that we turned around. So 2270 is also the level the lowest we went to last week. So I'm hoping that if we were to go down, we see continued weakness, we go through the 2408 and the 2359, that the 2248, basically the 2250 level, holds up. On the upside, what we have coming up is this 2530 level. After that, we've got the 2689. So again, another thing I want to point out is at this 2530 level, we will be above the 8 exponential moving average, the 8 EMA. We can start to push up from there. And then hopefully if we get above here, we'll be above another EMA as well, and the 55 exponential moving average. So that would be a great level of support. One thing I do want to point out, lower highs, lower lows, not looking too great, but with the push today, hoping that that's the start of a turnaround. Other thing I want to point out is RSI is 38, so we are getting a little bit to the oversold side. If we keep dropping, get below 30, definitely oversold. So to me, the downside is to the 2250, unless we see something crazy happens and we break that. The upside, though, I think we can get to, if we can break the 25s, make a push towards this 2689 level, assuming we have 2 green days coming up, I think we should make a run towards the 2680s for this week, assuming nice markets. What I do want to point out, though, with the S&P 500 is we are at a weird spot once again that we were at last week, and I pointed out, and the next day we went down to visit this EMA. So again, we are right here between the 34 and the 55 EMA. So if it follows what it did last week, we have run room down to the 55 EMA, right? So anytime it's been in between, I'm looking at the additional downside, because that's what I want to be more cognizant of, is what could happen, what's the worst that could happen, and make my plays accordingly. So I'm personally sitting on the sidelines right now, guys. I've got my Palantir leaps that are now actually down a little bit, but I've got until 2023 for them to turn around, so I'm not too worried about that. I do see great potential in stock, holding on to my shares and holding on to my leaps, hoping for a turnaround soon. Again, downside to me would be down to the 2250 unless something crazy happens. But I'm really hoping for a push towards the 26s this week, and we hit against that level. Sets us up nicely into next week, assuming the market overall is feeling better, which it has been really weird and choppy lately. So Hope that you guys found this video helpful. If you did, don't forget to drop a like down below, subscribe to my channel, comment down below what your thoughts on Palantir are, and I'd love to chat with you guys down there. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day, and until next time.